You're sitting in a cafe in Karachi. You've been here for 6 weeks. The man 3 tables away has a $25 million bounty on his head. He doesn't know you exist. Nobody does. You order tea. You read the newspaper. You look like every other businessman in this district. Boring, forgettable, gray. Your phone buzzes. One word. Green light. You don't react. You don't look around. You fold your newspaper. You take one more sip of tea. You check your watch like you're late for a meeting. In 90 seconds, a drone will turn this cafe into a crater. The man with the bounty will be vaporized. So will the waiter. So will the old man playing chess by the window. You have 60 seconds to walk out without anyone noticing. You stand. You leave cash on the table. You walk. Not fast, not slow, just a man heading back to work. You're 2 blocks away when the explosion shakes the windows. Car alarms scream. People run toward the smoke. You keep walking. Tomorrow the news will say gas leak. The intelligence agencies will know the truth. But they won't know about you. You don't exist. You never did. You don't apply for this job. There is no application. There is no job posting. There is no recruiter at a career fair. They find you. You're already elite. Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, CIA paramilitary. You've done things that will never be declassified. You've been to countries that officially had no American presence. You're the top 1% of 1%. And you think you've seen everything. You're wrong. A man approaches you, no uniform, no rank, no name tag. He looks like an accountant, soft hands. Dad bod, the kind of guy you'd forget 5 seconds after meeting him. That's the point. He asks you a question. How's your Arabic? You tell him it's decent. You learned it in Syria, in Yemen, in the places that don't make the news. He nods. He slides a folder across the table. Inside is a single sheet of paper. No letterhead, no classification markings. Just text. The pitch is simple. There's a unit. No name, no patch, no records. The military doesn't acknowledge it exists. The CIA pretends they've never heard of it. Congress thinks it's a line item in someone else's budget. You would become a ghost. Here's what that means. Your military records will show you retired or transferred to a training command in Kansas. Something boring, something forgettable. Your family will think you have a desk job. You'll miss birthdays, you'll miss funerals. You'll call when you can, which won't be often. If you die in the field, there will be no body sent home, no flag on the coffin. Number 2, 1, gun salute. Just a star carved into a wall in a building you'll never see. No name under it, just a star. The man asks you one question. Are you in? You think about your wife, your kids, the life you thought you'd have. You say yes. You don't know what you just signed up for. The man stands. He shakes your hand. He walks away. You never see him again. 3 days later, you get coordinates. A location in the American South. Maybe. You're not actually sure what state you're in. That's intentional. Your new life starts now. You've been through selection before. Delta made you run until you puked. SEAL training tried to drown you for 6 months. You thought you knew what hard was. This is different. They don't care if you can run 20 miles with a rucksack. You already proved that. They don't care if you can shoot. You already proved that too. They want to know if you can disappear. Day 1, surveillance training. You're given a photo of a man, average looking. Brown hair, medium build. You're told to follow him through a city for 8 hours. Don't let him see you, don't let anyone see you following him. Simple. You've done this in combat. You've tracked insurgents through Baghdad. You fail in 2 hours. You didn't notice the woman with the stroller. She was counter-surveillance. She spotted you 3 times. Once when you crossed the street too quickly. Once when you checked your phone at the wrong moment. Once when you made eye contact with the shop owner, who was also on the team. The instructor doesn't yell. He just shows you the photos. Photos of you. Taken by people you never saw. Start over. You do it again. You fail again. The target ducked into a restaurant, and you hesitated at the door. Amateur move. A real professional would have walked past. Circled the block. Waited. Start over. Day 3. You fail because you wore the same jacket 2 days in a row. Someone noticed. Day 5. You fail because you walked too confidently. You looked like a soldier. Soldiers stand out. Day 7. You finally complete the exercise. 8 hours. 0 detection. You feel proud. The instructor doesn't congratulate you. He just nods and hands you a new photo. A new target. A new city. Harder this time, the target knows he's being followed. He's testing you. You do this for 6 weeks. You learn to change your walk, your posture, the way you hold your shoulders. You learn that a baseball cap makes you memorable, that a gray jacket makes you invisible, that people remember faces but forget bodies. The language training is brutal. You don't just learn Arabic. You already know Arabic. Now you learn the Yemeni dialect, the slang from Sana'a, the hand gestures from Aden, the way men from different tribes sit differently in chairs. You learn to argue about football like a local. You learn which phrases mark you as an outsider. You learn to swear like you grew up in the streets of Sana'a. They make you watch TV from the target country, soap operas, news programs, game shows. You have to understand the references, the jokes, the cultural touchstones. You have to know who the famous actors are, who the politicians are, who won the football championship in 1987. You spend 3 hours learning how to drink tea correctly. Not the taste, the posture, the gestures, the way you hold the glass, the way you blow on it, the way you set it down. Every culture does it differently. Get it wrong and you're marked as a foreigner. Then they drop you in an alien environment, a foreign city, no money, no ID, no support, no weapons, no extraction plan. Your mission, survive for 1 week, complete 3 objectives, don't die. Day 1, you're hungry. You sleep under a bridge with homeless men. You listen to their conversations. You learn the local slang. Day 2, you steal food from a market, you feel guilty. Then you remember this is training. Day 3, you befriend a local businessman. You tell him you're a traveler who got robbed. He takes pity on you, buys you dinner, introduces you to his friends. Day 4, you complete your first objective. Photograph a specific building from a specific angle without being noticed. Day 6, you complete all 3 objectives, you're extracted. You think you passed. You did, barely. The washout rate is 90%. Not because the candidates are weak. These are the most elite soldiers on Earth. Delta operators, SEAL snipers, Green Beret team leaders. They wash out because they can't become invisible. The guy who brags about his kills, gone. The guy who needs to be the alpha in every room, gone. The guy who can't stand not getting credit, gone. The guy who looks like a soldier, gone. People remember handsome. The guy who's too tall, gone. You can't hide 6'4". They keep the gray men. The forgettable faces, the ones you can't describe 5 minutes after meeting them. The ones who can sit in a room for an hour and no one remembers they were there. Average height, average build, average face. Extraordinary skills hidden behind aggressive mediocrity. You graduate. No ceremony, no certificate, no photo with the commandant, no handshake with the general. Just a tap on the shoulder, an address, a plane ticket, a new name. Welcome to the activity. The name changes constantly. Gray Fox, Centra Spike, Task Force Orange, the Army of Northern Virginia, the intelligence support activity. By the time anyone figures out one name, it's already changed. That's the point. Even acknowledging the unit exists is classified. Your unit is small, maybe 200 people total. Compared to 70,000 in the rest of special operations, you could fit the entire organization in a hotel ballroom. 2 branches. HUMINT. Human intelligence. That's you. You go places, you become people, you build relationships with sources who don't know their sources. You extract information through conversation, not interrogation. SIGINT, signals, intelligence. The technology wizards. They can track a phone across a continent, they can intercept encrypted communications, they can find people who don't want to be found. Here's how it works. SEAL Team 6 kicks down doors, Delta Force raids compounds, the Rangers seize airfields. They're the hammer. You're the one who finds the nail. Without you, the shooters are blind. They're sitting on helicopters with nowhere to go. You find the targets, you map the networks, you locate the safe houses, then you hand off the coordinates and disappear. The operators get the medals, the operators get the movie deals. You get a classified file that no one will ever read. The reality of your new life. No base, you operate out of embassies, safe houses, hotels, apartments rented under fake names. You never see the same office twice. No uniform, ever. You dress like wherever you are. If you're in Germany, you dress like a German businessman. If you're in Pakistan, you dress like a Pakistani merchant. If you're in Texas, you dress like a guy who sells insurance. No rank in the field. The person next to you might be a master sergeant, might be a CIA case officer, might be an NSA analyst. You won't know, you won't ask. You have a cover identity. Actually, you have several. You have documents, passports, credit cards, a whole life that doesn't exist, built for a person who isn't real. You are that person now, at least until the mission ends. Your first real mission, a city in North Africa. You won't say which one, you'll never say which one. The target is a financier, Hassan, not his real name. He moves money for terrorist organizations across 3 continents. He's never touched a weapon, never built a bomb, never pulled a trigger, but his money has killed hundreds of Americans. Soldiers in Iraq, civilians in embassies, passengers on planes. On paper, he's a businessman. Import-export, real estate, consulting. He files taxes. He pays his employees. He attends charity events. He also sends $5 million a month to people who build suicide vests. The politicians want him alive. They want to trace his network. They want the whole spider web, not just one spider. Dead men don't give up their contacts. Your job. Get close. Map his world. Find the vulnerabilities. Don't get caught. You arrive as a German businessman. Klaus Richter. Import-export. Industrial machinery parts. Boring stuff. Your cover is airtight. You have business cards. A website. A secretary in Munich who answers the phone and takes messages. She doesn't know who you really are. She thinks you work for a consulting firm. She's right, just not the kind she imagines. You rent an apartment. Middle-class neighborhood. Nothing fancy. You buy groceries, you go to the gym. You establish a routine. For 2 months, you do nothing interesting. You go to restaurants and eat alone. You attend business conferences and hand out cards. You meet with local businessmen about contracts you'll never sign. You are aggressively boring. Then you start appearing. The gym where the target works out 3 times a week. You join. You use the treadmill. You lift weights. You never look at him. The mosque where he prays on Fridays. You attend. You pray in the back. You leave before he does. The cafe where he takes tea every Thursday afternoon. You become a regular. You sit in the corner. You read the paper. You order the same thing every time. You never approach him. You never speak to him. You don't even make eye contact. You just exist nearby. A ghost in his peripheral vision. Week 3, you know his schedule better than his wife does. You know he leaves for work at 7:45. You know his driver's name is Freed. You know he meets a woman on Tuesdays who isn't his wife. You know he has lunch with a man in an expensive suit every Monday at the same restaurant. You're mapping his world, his routines, his contacts, his security, his weaknesses. Every detail goes into reports, encrypted, uploaded through a network that bounces through 6 countries before reaching Fort Meade. The color of his car, the license plate of his driver, the name of the restaurant, the face of the woman. Week 6, you notice something wrong. A car that appears too often. A man who sits too straight. A pattern that doesn't fit the neighborhood. The target has counter surveillance. He has people watching for people like you. He's careful. He's paranoid. He's survived this long for a reason. You adjust. You become even more invisible. You stop going to the gym on days he's there. You switch cafes. You create distance. You report the counter surveillance. Within 48 hours, SIGINT has cracked his phone. They're reading his texts, listening to his calls, watching his money move in real time. Every wire transfer, every email, every contact. A break comes. He's planning to meet a courier, someone carrying documents from overseas, names, account numbers, a roadmap of terrorist financing across 3 continents. This is the jackpot. You're tasked with following the courier. He arrives at the airport on a Tuesday. Short man, nervous, carries a leather briefcase like his life depends on it. Because it does. You follow him through the city. He takes 3 taxis, doubles back twice. Amateur counter surveillance. You've seen better. He checks into a hotel, room 412. You report it. That night, a team you'll never meet enters the room. The courier is drugged. He won't remember anything. The documents are photographed, every page, every number. Then they return to the briefcase exactly as they were. He wakes up the next morning with a headache. He thinks it's jet lag. He delivers the documents to Hassan. He never knows they were copied. A week later, $40 million in terrorist funds are frozen across 6 countries. 12 arrests. 3 planned attacks stopped before they started. A shopping mall in Paris, a subway in London, a hotel in Bangkok. Your name is on nothing. You were never there. Klaus Richter leaves the country for a business meeting and never returns. The apartment is cleaned. The lease is terminated. It's like you never existed. Because you didn't, you get new documents, a new identity, a flight to your next city, a new name to learn, a new accent to perfect. The cycle begins again. This is the mission that defines you, a bomb maker. Code name, the engineer, responsible for 200 American deaths, maybe more. IEDs in Iraq that shredded convoys, car bombs in Kabul, attacks in Europe that made the news for weeks. He's a ghost. No photo is less than 10 years old. The one photo that exists shows a young man with a beard. He could be anyone now. He never uses phones, never uses email, never stays in the same location for more than a week, moves constantly, changes vehicles, changes routes. Even his own organization doesn't know where he sleeps. He's the most wanted man in the world that no one's ever heard of. The president wants him dead. The entire intelligence community wants him dead. The CIA has a dedicated task force. The NSA has monitoring programs. Billions of dollars of satellites and drones and analysts have failed to find him. For 3 years, nothing. Then they send you. You can't find him directly. He's too careful, too paranoid, too smart. So you find everyone around him, his courier, the man who carries his messages. You trace him through Turkey, his doctor, the man who treats his diabetes. You find him in Jordan, his brother, the man who handles his money. You track him through Pakistan, his wife's families, the people who might know which wife he's with. You map them across 3 countries, his financier, his weapons supplier, his driver, his bodyguards. For 14 months, your team builds the network, a spider web of connections. Each thread leads to another thread. Each person leads to another person. You're not looking for him. You're looking for the shape of the hole he leaves in the world. You deploy to 3 different countries, each time a new identity, a new life. A new legend in Turkey, you're a journalist researching Syrian refugees. You interview aid workers. You attend conferences. You buy drinks for people who might know, people who move money for the wrong reasons. In Jordan, you're an aid worker. Yourself. You distribute medicine. You visit clinics. You ask about a doctor who used to work here, the one who now treats special patients. In Pakistan, you're a businessman exploring investment opportunities. You meet with local officials. You ask about construction projects in remote areas. Who's building? Who's buying? Who's moving materials to places where nothing should be built? Everywhere you go, you listen. You build relationships. You find the people who might know people who might know where he is. You never ask directly. You let them talk. You remember everything. The breakthrough comes from Sigand. 14 months of nothing, and then a single intercepted call. A lieutenant mentions a guest arriving soon. A village in the mountains. A compound that's been quiet for years but suddenly has activity. You're sent in. You pose as a journalist writing about reconstruction efforts. You have credentials from a real newspaper. References that check out. A photographer traveling with you who is also activity. She's been in country for 3 years. Waiting. For 2 weeks, you live in that village. You eat with locals. You drink tea with village elders. You take notes about agriculture and infrastructure and reconstruction projects you don't care about. You file stories that will never be published. And you watch that compound. From a hill half a kilometer away, you watch. Through a scope that looks like a camera lens. Vehicles arrive at night. Leave before dawn. SUVs with tinted windows. Never the same vehicle twice. Food deliveries triple on certain days. The guards rotate in patterns you memorize. 4-hour shifts. 2 men at the gate. 2 on the roof. A patrol every 90 minutes. You photograph faces. Grainy images run through databases in Fort Meade. Most come back empty. Unknown males. But one hits. Not the target, his brother, the financier, who hasn't been seen in public in 5 years, who was thought to be dead. If the brother is there, so is he. You relay everything. GPS coordinates precise to 1 meter, time patterns down to the minute, guard rotations, entry points, weak spots in the wall, the location of every vehicle, the shift changes of every guard, the best approach vectors, the escape routes. You're told to leave, immediately. Don't ask why. You pack your bags. You say goodbye to the village elder. You thank him for his hospitality. You shake his hand. You promise to send him a copy of the article. You walk out of the village. A car picks you up. You're across the border by nightfall. 72 hours later, you see the news. A military operation killed a senior terrorist leader. No details released. The country's government issues a formal protest. The State Department issues a formal denial. You know the details. You drew the map. You counted the guards. You timed the patrols. Somewhere in Virginia, a star is carved into a wall. Not for you, for the operators who didn't make it out. 2 men, you'll never know their names. But you made it possible. The bombs stop, the IEDs stop. For a while at least. You've been doing this for 7 years. Or 8. You've stopped counting. You've been 19 different people in 14 countries. You speak 5 languages with native accents. You can navigate the souks of Marrakesh and the slums of Karachi with equal ease. But who are you? The wife is gone. She couldn't handle a husband who disappeared for months. Who couldn't say where. Who came back different each time. Who flinched at loud noises and couldn't sleep without the TV on. The divorce was quiet. She got the house. You got a studio apartment you've slept in maybe 30 nights total. The kids know you as the guy who misses birthdays, who's always traveling for work, who sends presents from places he can't name. Your son is 14 now. You've missed 6 of his birthdays. Friends don't exist. Your cover doesn't allow friends. Every relationship is either professional or a liability. The people who know the real you can be counted on one hand. Most of them work for the same agency that doesn't exist. The mental toll is worse. You've watched people die. People you cultivated as sources. People who trusted you. Whose names you gave to the targeters. That courier in the hotel. The one whose documents you stole. He had children. You saw photos in his wallet when your team searched the room. 3 kids. The youngest was maybe 4. You dream in Arabic now. Sometimes you wake up and don't remember your real name for a few seconds. You have to look at your passport. The real one. There's no medal for what you do. No parade. No recognition. When you retire, there will be no ceremony. When you die, your family will be told you had a heart attack at your desk job. So, why do you do it? 3 weeks ago, a bomb didn't go off in a shopping mall in Virginia. 200 people went home to their families. Mothers, fathers, kids buying sneakers. None of them will ever know your name. None of them will ever know you exist. That's the only medal you need. Most days. This is the mission that breaks all rules. A nuclear scientist, working for a regime that wants the bomb. The kind of bomb that changes history. The politicians want a deal. Diplomacy. Sanctions. Negotiations that drag on for years while centrifuges spin. But there's intel. The scientist isn't willing. He's not a true believer. He's a hostage to his own government. His family held as leverage. His daughter's school monitored. His wife followed everywhere. He wants out. Someone high up asks a question. What if we got him out? Not assassination. Extraction. Get the scientist and his family out of a country where failure means an international incident. Maybe war. No military assets. No official involvement. If you're caught, you're a criminal, a kidnapper, a spy. The United States will deny everything. They'll deny you exist. Because you don't. Team of 4. All activity, all ghosts. The operation takes months of preparation. Maps, bribes, documents. Safe houses arranged through cutouts who don't know who they're working for. You make contact with the scientist through his daughter's piano teacher. She's activity 2, has been for 3 years. Embedded, waiting. The message is simple. One chance, one night. Trust us or spend your life building weapons for people who will use them. He says yes. The night of the extraction. A power outage. Not an accident. Cygant made it happen. In the darkness, you move. The scientist, his wife, his 2 daughters. The youngest is 7. She thinks it's an adventure. You let her believe that. A car to a checkpoint. Forged papers that cost $50,000 to create. A bribe to a guard who thinks he's helping smugglers. A boat across water you'll never name. 8 hours in the dark. The little girl gets seasick. You hold her hair back while she vomits over the side. Safe house to safe house for 2 weeks, moving every night, sleeping during the day. Every car that passes could be the one that ends you. The pickup. An airfield in the middle of nowhere. A plane with no markings. Handshakes with men who don't give names. The scientist makes it out. He's debriefed for 6 months. He provides everything. Diagrams, names, locations, timelines. The nuclear program is set back a decade. No bombs, no war. Millions of lives that went in a flash of light. The family gets new identities, new lives. A house in a country they've never been to. The little girl will grow up American. She'll never know how close she came. You go back to your life, your next identity, your next mission. You never expect to. Years pass. You've lost count of identities, of countries, of the stars on the wall for operators who didn't come home. 17 identities. 12 countries. 37 operations. 4 near misses where you should have died. You stopped counting after a while. The numbers don't matter. You're in a cafe. Could be anywhere. Probably Europe. Maybe America. You're just a guy reading a newspaper. Gray hair now. A few more wrinkles. The kind of face you still can't remember 5 minutes after meeting. A young man sits nearby. Fit. Alert. Trying too hard to look casual. He holds his coffee wrong. His posture is too stiff. He checks his watch too often. Amateur. You recognize the look. You wore it once. 20 years ago. Before the languages. Before the covers. Before the covers. Before the bodies. He's watching someone. Learning the craft. Probably agency. Maybe military intelligence. Fresh out of the farm. Thinking he knows something. Thinking he's invisible. He's not. You spotted him in 3 seconds. You could teach him things. How to hold a cup so it hides your face. How to use window reflections instead of turning your head. How to time your movements to traffic lights. How to disappear in a crowd of 3 people. How to become so boring, so gray, so forgettable that no one remembers you existed. But you won't, because he doesn't know you exist. And he never will. That's the rule. That's always been the rule. The truth is, there's no retirement party for ghosts, no gold watch, no ceremony, no pension you can explain to the IRS. One day you just stop getting the tap. Maybe you teach now, training the next generation of invisible people in a facility that doesn't appear in any map, a building with no sign, students with no names, a curriculum that doesn't exist. Maybe you consult, a contractor with no past, hired for skills that can't be explained on a resume, paid through companies that exist only on paper. Maybe you just disappear, one last time, into a life that's finally actually yours, a house somewhere quiet, a garden, a dog, normal things, but part of you stays in the shadows, always listening, always watching, noticing the car that passes twice, the man who lingers too long, the pattern that doesn't fit. Old habits don't die, they just go dormant, waiting, because you know the truth. The world is kept safe by people who don't exist, by agencies that never happened, by men and women who sacrificed everything for a country that will never acknowledge them. No parades, no monuments, no thank you, just a star on a wall, no name underneath. You were one of them, that kid in the cafe. He might be good. He might wash out. He might die in a country that doesn't know he was there. He might be one of the stars on the wall someday, or he might become what you became, a ghost, a shadow, a person who exists only in classified files that will stay sealed for 75 years. By the time anyone reads them, everyone who knew him will be dead. That's the trade. That's always been the trade. You finish your coffee, you fold your newspaper, you leave exact change on the table. You stand. Outside the sun is shining. People walk past, couples holding hands, kids on their way to school, businessmen checking their phones. None of them know. None of them will ever know. That's the point. You walk out into the sunlight, just another guy, just another face, forgettable, invisible, gone, and you disappear. One last time.